Welcome back to the show within a show, I always say, because that's how you like to lead it in. Ben, my angry dad.
Robbie, how are you doing today?
You know what I really appreciate about you
What's that?
is not only your compassion to love, but the standard you set, I feel like is the standard that should be set among everyone. And that is like the standard of like not tolerating bullshit.
And it took years of me to understand that. And when I mean years, I want to say around 30, 33. That's when I was like, from now on, my happiness is my concern. And I will not, and I just started speaking out more. You know what I'm saying? I've always done it. I've always spoken out. But when you make a conscious decision, and not just with And when I mean like doing it more, it's with family. Because a lot of times you have to bite your tongue. You can't say shit because you don't want to upset people. And it got to the point with my family, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. This is how I roll. This is what the fuck. Understand that I call the shots.
But why does it have to offend or why does it have to bother someone? I think there's a right way to take it, right? There's a right way to set a standard or a right way to say something without trying to be confrontational with someone. It's just every time someone does do something or say something, it has to be confrontational. But more on the lines of like, what always gets me is the home goods thing. I always like whenever I go to home goods, I'm getting like a coffee syrup or something like that. They're always like, "Do you want to round that $1 or round that couple of cents to donate to like to fight hunger?" I'm like, "Sure." And then they ring a bell, lets everybody know that you donated. And I'm just like, "Why are you doing that?" And it's like, man, it's just it gives a false sense to a lot of people that you're doing more than you probably are. And I don't like that. I just this just occurred to me because the mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio,
Yeah.
his wife lost $850 million that was set and given to them for mental health. And now they have no idea where that 850 million is. And I just go, if you lose $1,
Yeah.
$5 in your jeans when you're washing them and you find them, how do you lose 850 million?
Let me tell you right now, I lose $8. If I misplace a dollar, because like everyone else in the world, a dollar is a lot of money, period. I will search for it. I will not just search for it. I will check all my clothes. I will go through my dirty clothes. I will make sure I didn't throw it in the trash. I will go above and beyond because that dollar counts. And if you can't find $800 million, obviously obviously they
850.
yeah, that's what I'm. It doesn't. Once it hits that amount of money, there's some kind of accountability and trace. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just not, you just don't have that much money sitting in your fucking pockets at home. Like, oh yeah, I got to put this away later. And, oh shit, I sat down or I got up and it fell out of my fucking pocket. That's not what happened.
I have two things. One, it's like you can say 800. The only reason I said 850 was you can only round it if it's like maybe $1,000 is pushing it. But
Yeah.
$1 million, that's not like a dollar here, a dollar here. Like, oh, you owe me $10. You mean I owe you 875? No, you
Yeah.
lost the straight up 850
It,
million. And my mind starts wandering like, what could we have used for that instead of giving it to you for something that was supposed to help? And you decide, yeah, someone better be examining their purchases for
oh
like
yeah.
the next month needs
Oh
to be
no,
like,
for
you
the
got a new
rest
Lexus?
of their lives, for the rest of their lives, every penny, every cent that they spend needs to be scrutinized because like I said, like you said, that just doesn't up and dis a fucking peer. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, oh, we're going on vacation and they never come back. Well, guess the fuck what? It better be a non fucking jurisdiction, fucking like extraditing fucking state because someone's gonna fucking come get you because that's a lot of fucking money.
Now I can understand because like you see all these billionaires and things of that sort that end up spending so much money. You're like, man, if I had that money, once your money increases, your income increases, you start adjusting your standard of living to a higher, I guess, decibel level, I would say. Let's say you're going to
Yeah,
start saying, let's say you have $1 million a year, you're going to start spending maybe a couple 100,000 or so. But if you are given $1 million and you're used to making barely paying the bills, like just scraping the bottom of the jar, it's going to last you a very, very long time, especially if you're very frugal with it. And I just look, I'm like
yeah,
$850 million. What the hell could we have funded better than that? Like, all right, so
exactly.
you're a Bigfoot fanatic. We all know. I am a
Right.
Kraken fanatic, hence the shirt, for
Sure.
instance. Favorite thing is the Kraken. But then someone told me, like, maybe it's not Kraken, maybe it's not the Loch Ness monster, but it's actually a whale's penis. And then they showed a picture of like the Loch Ness monster and then what a whale looks like when it's like
Yeah,
that. And it would make sense if you think about pirates being on a ship, seeing a giant squid, maybe a
yeah.
colossal squid, sure. But like you're hammered, man. You're drunk, and some dude sees this giant flopping pink thing out of the water. You're gonna be like, Kraken, and then start freaking out. A bunch of guys laying face down drunk on a ship. Then what about Bigfoot? What it can prove convince me. I'm not entirely convinced anymore that might not even be interdimensional. I'm starting to think he's like a figment of your imagination, like if you get too stoned on mushrooms.
See, getting stoned on mushrooms and having that, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of correlation to where you could be able to see the visible spectrum of them. Because, like I said, there's so many aspects and avenues of what Bigfoot is and what he can do. But the thing is, trying to prove something that no one has ever been able to prove. There's been so many false documentations, so many false claims, so many people saying that they have this, they have that, and nothing's ever been truly like proven. All right. There's always been inconclusive evidence. There's always been a near miss, near hit. We almost did it. We almost had it. But the thing is it comes down to people's like real deal. You have to trust in what they see, what they hear, and what's going on with them. And I have a good grasp on counting bullshit. I have a good grasp on being able to hit bullshit detecting, and being from the streets, being able to look at tells, being able to look at people in the face, in the eye, whether to tell if they're lying to me or being truthful to me. And that's something I've always counted on. But the thing is even with that, it's never 100%. But the thing is, I've had my own experience, and because I've had my own experience, and there was no other thing in this world that it could have been, and that's where my proof comes in. Like I said, my accountability, my credibility is what I lean on for that. You know what I'm saying? People, like I said, Robbie, we talk. I'm straight up. I don't hit nobody with any kind of fucking bullshit. I hit you with the straight, hard hitting facts of what I think, how I feel, and what's going on in my life. And the thing is I've only chased this because I've had my own experience. Unless you've had your own experience, you can't you can't grasp the idea or the thought process of what goes through my brain. What, like, when I have those moments of clarity, when I'm sitting there and that moment's replaying in my head, I'm like, I saw this, I smelled this smell, the wind, the cool air, the crisp, how bright the moon was, how light, brightly lit in that driveway was, how the dog was split. Everything that happened in that moment is mine. And it was also shared with another person. But the thing is, that other person's never going to say anything. That other person, I don't know where he is or what the fuck's going on with his life, is completely, out of my hands. But the thing is, I know what I seen. I know what I heard. I know what I felt when that building moved. You know what I'm saying? When that happened, that's all my emotions and feelings and thoughts that happened. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, math adds up. I don't care what anybody says. Math is not real. Math is all that. Well, unfortunately, we live in a world where math breaks down to what everything is, and that's how everything's explained. And because of A, B, and C that happened, it equaled to me Bigfoot, because it's what happened to me. It's what I seen. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I just didn't, a trailer just didn't move on its fucking own. A single wide fucking trailer on stilts just didn't get pushed by itself. You know what I'm saying? There was no earthquake. There was nothing recorded that day. There was no reason for the dogs to be flipping out. There was no reason for any, what I'm saying? Even in that area, bears aren't even in that area where we were at. You know what I'm saying? Of course, there could be a rogue bear, a stray bear. It could have, a black bear could have easily came in there and shook the trailer. But the thing is, the black bear is just not going to instinctively run away. It's going to be investigation. It's going to be like, I need to see him. I'm foraging for food. You know what I'm saying? It is not going to be scared of me, because the black bear is on the fucking apex predator level. You know what I'm saying? It will eat me. It will eat anything. You know what I'm saying? They know hunters, they know all that stuff, but the thing is, they don't give a fuck about them. You know what I'm saying? Bears are protected to a certain aspect. And the thing is they have that subconscious level to knowing that I ain't got to fear this. I ain't got to fear them. I ain't got to fear shit, because I will fucking eat it with my mouth, ass first. And that's what bears do. You know what I'm saying? I was just watching a video a couple of days ago where a fucking a moose is like almost like 3,000 to 4,000 pounds. And I'm just, like, I'm not dead sure on how big a moose is, but a bear bit it in the back and drug it away like it was nothing. So I'm pretty sure a black bear that weighs 400 to 500 pounds, you know what I'm saying? I'm 300 pounds. At that moment in time, I was like 200 pounds. So it could have easily just carried me away. But the thing is a black bear is not going to instinctively run away and hide. You know what I'm saying? Especially after what the fuck it just did. You know what I'm saying? Black bears loll around. They're fast, but they're not that fast. And like I said, this is all my experience. So this is what I relay. Whether people choose to believe me or not, you know what I'm saying? I know what I believe now because of my interaction with it. And because of that, I reach out, I look, I investigate, I do my internet due diligence. I'm not in the middle of Bigfoot country. I'm in the Bay Area of California, and we just recently went to Bigfootville. All right, we went up to fucking Willow Creek. We ate at the Bigfoot restaurant. We went to go see the Bigfoot sites. We wanted to go to the Bigfoot museum and talk and take pictures and do all that stuff, but it was closed. So, we did the next best thing. We drove around. We went to the woods. We went down Bigfoot Highway. There really is a Bigfoot highway. We drove down it. We checked stuff out. And when you're out there, the woods are so thick. Until you go to a national forest, until you go to an area that's actually wooded, all right, there is no physical way for anybody to walk through it. There's no physical way for you to see completely through it. You know what I'm saying? You might get the 10 feet
That's
of
that's
this,
not where
the
my
beast.
mind goes, though. My
Yeah, but see,
mind
of
goes
course
to
it.
two things, though. One, that it has to be like my theory about maybe it's just a bunch of aliens scanning, like, oh, they have gorillas here, and they dress up in this fake makeshift suit, thinking that we're so dumb we're not gonna be able to tell, and that's what Bigfoot is. That's why they come down here. Or two, the frequency thing. Is there a way that they have this ability to camouflage themselves, like a chameleon can blend in with things, or do something where it looks like bark on a tree, or it looks like something that is not, like a type of the defense system? But then it brings up the point, if it's so big and it's so monstrous, why would it need to defend itself? But the frequency thing, man, when I sent you that podcast about Brian Greene when he was on Joe Rogan talking about how they're being able to now measure certain decibels of frequencies, all these vibrations and things, you sent me that article before about the
Yeah.
the vibration. Being able to control that now, where they're thinking they can start exploring maybe another dimension, has me thinking of if this creature or this thing has an ability to do so. The issue is that when you try and bounce your information off of information that's out there, there's a very small skew amount of people that have seen or come in contact with this. So it's a very, very hard to base your experience on someone else's experience when they could be so irrationally different. Rather than me going to the store the same day someone else goes to the store, everyone could have that same experience of going to the grocery store and dealing with a horrible person that's a cashier or something like that, which makes it difficult. And I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm just sitting there thinking of what possible avenue could it be if you've thought more about it, or if, even in the explanation of a frequency theory. What is that in the next 100 years? Are we going to have that down pat? I mean, this just happened not even a little while ago, but they put human organs in a monkey they were able to grow, and they're
Yeah.
thinking they can start reproducing, having like a monkey that they can start growing organs. Now, I was against animal testing. I was
Yeah.
but I understand why people do it, because it's better than experimenting on humans in their
Yeah.
eyes. So I
Exactly.
understand that, because we need to know, we need to have research. But I'm
Yeah.
against hurting an animal, obviously. But now this is bringing up into a whole new theory. Instead of putting lipstick on a monkey, you're now growing human
Or,
organs inside of one, which I'm
oh
like,
yeah.
what the fuck's the future going to be like?
I'm telling you, did you see the video I sent you? They've created when that was talking all about that, and that's the thing is like when you talk about these frequencies, and see that's the thing, that's what I was talking about. Like there's so many scientific aspects that I search out for this, because watching from Ancient Aliens, watching documentaries, I hear everything that these people are saying. And the thing is some of it sounds like shit, some of it sounds stupid, but the thing is every time you get those little nuggets of like, what if they're tied in with aliens? Because there's so many, they have so many encounters where it's a UFO, some kind of orb, and then it's Bigfoot. All right. Now, let me tell you right now. Like I said, Bigfoot could be a foot soldier. It could be a foot investigator. It's like, look, we need to slightly blend in. You're going to have the ability to phase in and out. But the thing is how they were just talking about frequencies. The thing is they can control the frequencies. They're known to speak in this hyper frequency where it is unaudible to us, and we know there's sound audibles out there that cannot be heard by us. The infrasounds, and they've also, I've seen plenty of videos where they talk about where they use this infrasound to communicate, but they also use this infrasound to project themselves onto people that actually pushes them away from them. So it's like almost like a natural defense where it has them feel a certain way. I don't feel good, or have this ominous feeling, and all of a sudden you feel sick. Let me go home. Let me get out of here. And it's been known to do it. It's been known to show it. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty
Well, hold on. What you just said, that is very important because, like I told you earlier, I didn't mean to cut you off,
oh
but
yeah,
this
yeah,
is
no.
this is the most like craziest thing. So there was the FedEx shooting that
Yep.
happened, and I'm gonna get my buddy on here to talk about it. But a lot of people know my buddy Mike Lando from Sith Talkers. He works
Yeah.
at FedEx,
Yeah.
and as soon as I saw this article, and I'm probably gonna talk to him more about it on his episode, but I was so like, are you okay immediately? Like it's just the
Yeah.
same thing. If I knew something happened in your area, I'd be texting
Yeah.
you too. And I freaked out, and he was like, yeah, man. He goes, my son, I don't work there anymore, but my son was there, and he left at 10:30. For some reason, they let him go home early.
Yeah.
So I picked him up, and then 30 minutes later, this shooting sort of happened. I'm like, is that fate? Is that something in the universe that's doing something? And it's very, very strange where people can like say you're crazy or something like that. I'm like, how is it crazy though? How is it
Yeah.
crazy when in a million years we would have never thought that we would have been in space? We
Mhm.
never thought that we'd be growing organs in another animal. We never thought all these different things that are now starting to happen. So I'm wondering why people can be so defined to distrust something or disapprove something rather than just keeping an open mind to it. I mean, that is the best explanation of fate or something, or you can call it luck if you want. But what is luck? Luck is just another type of form of something you can't explain.
Yeah. No, it is. And see, that's the thing too, is like, I've been born with a natural gift. The natural gift is right place, right time. It's being able to talk to people and them see something that I can't see, only they can see, and it changes their aspect and impression of me. You know what I'm saying? And every time I've had many opportunities to do many things in my life only because of right place, right time. Some people are born with this. Some people are born with the ability to like that has the future almost foresees what they need to do, and they're given those opportunities. Like you said, your friend was gifted to go home early. And the reason he was gifted to go home early is, guess what? Faith put that in him. The universe put that energy to him. Like, look, you need to leave. You know what I'm saying? I've been so many opportunities where like shit went crazy, but I wasn't there. Either because I left early or because something like some crazy oddity kept me from going. And I've learned to accept that. A lot of times I'm like, oh, we got plans, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and then all of a sudden something happens, something like ridiculous, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, you know what? Maybe we stay home, or maybe we're just gonna leave, or it's not fate or fate for us to go. You know what I'm saying? So people that have this inability or ability in them to accept that and to take that or kind of ride with it. Because you know how many people are lucky in this life where they're like, they just had this opportunity and all of a sudden their life's exponentially better because of that. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's this frequency in the world that puts towards you that hits individuals where it's like, guess what? Oh, here's $1 million. Oh, here's this great job. I'm actually selling this car, but you know what? For you, for free. You know what I'm saying? There's those things down there that just change people's lives, but they never really investigate what it is. They just think it's luck. They just think it's faith. Like, no, people are born with a certain gift and ability of that. You know what I'm saying? And it's so fucking crazy because, it's always right place, right time for me, or like, but the thing is there's also, there's evenness to it. You know what I'm saying? Like I might get something good, but something bad will happen.
I've
But
become more of a person that believes in destiny. I think more towards the fact of like after I get so much deja vu and I get these feelings about things, like I'll be like change, like if I get a bad dream or something that's like deja vu and something starts feeling familiar, I'll immediately change what I'm doing and then it changes the outcome of it. It's been known to happen. I mean, I joked around about the I am legend thing a year ago when this thing started happening. And then these articles are now coming out saying the vaccine's causing all these things. And it
yep,
doesn't mean I have a feeling it's not ready, which is why I'm like, like the weight on it. That was the whole idea of it.
Oh
But
yeah.
so much of this stuff that I felt and I've joked and I've said like as a future thing has came true, where I'm starting to wonder if like I understand future or whatever is like a bunch of different pathways and it can always be constantly changing. It's the one thing that always is changing is the future. The past really can't change.
Yeah.
Unless you talk to everybody in the world today, it's like I'm just gonna cancel that. But
Yeah.
it's so ever changing where I'm wondering if you can get woven into whatever that rhythm or that fabric is that is the future, and then be able to somehow like imagine like someone from the future just being able to touch you. And then you have this like residue or residual of that future where you're able to something, you get stuck on this different frequency that's now
Mhm.
being able to predict events like Nicolas Cage and Knowing, where he's able to
Yep.
predict every national thing that's happening. Is
Exactly.
that possible that if there's a possible frequency that people have psychic abilities or people have these weird occurrences, is it possible to be woven in the universe's frequency in a way that everything either goes in your favor or goes out of it? Like it's not in your thing. Like we talk about, well, at least I talk about my theory of like, does everything go right before you die? Like everything's going your way, or does everything go wrong? Like you ever have a day where you're walking around like, oh, where's the milk? You go open up the fridge, pour a glass of milk, and it's all coming out chunky. You're like, oh, that sucks. And then next thing you know, you go to put the glass or the thing in the trash, and the bottom of it breaks and it goes all over the place. And like multiple events go bad where you're like, maybe I should not go anywhere today. Maybe I should just stay home.
And that's the truth. That's the frequency. That's what you being woven in is exactly what you said. Because look, if you look at clothing, you look how it's designed, everything's a certain pattern, but there's always that one string that's just it's frayed, it's pulled out, it's in the wrong direction, it's not sitting right. So it's like that one defect. Say the majority of the world is woven in nice and neat and tight, but every so often that one string gets pulled, and then guess what? That one string gets pulled and things change. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what it is. It's just so fucking crazy because you can get hit with these frequencies, and all of a sudden the world lines up, or you're missing the eight ball every fucking time. You know what I'm saying? It just has it has those things. Like how you said, like being touched from the future and having that residue. That residue didn't have to be from the future. It could be from the next dimension, the next universe, the next frequency of the world, and then you just happen to phase through it, and then all of a sudden things are either going good or things are all going bad, because it just depends on the amount of negative energy or positive energy you receive from it.
Well, if there's other dimensions though, how many times in your life could you be able to narrow it down, like where you might have had an incident happen? You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm alive right now. And really, you got sent to another dimension, the exact same, but it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like if a car almost hits you, okay, oh, that car just missed me. But really, in your reality, it did, and you got sent to another dimension that is exactly 100% the same. Like your consciousness just transferred over
Yeah.
because it
And then you
wasn't
get
your
the
time.
Mandela effect. That's how that gets synced in there.
Oh
That's,
shit.
there's so many different things that could be happening. And just like you said, you're switching into another form of life. And then all of a sudden that consciousness switches and your body died in one, and now you're in the next dimension, and your consciousness is continuing like nothing fucking happened. But all of a sudden there's small details that we would be oblivious to. And then all of a sudden it's like you start noticing, I'm like, what the fuck? I remember this and I remember this. What happened to this restaurant? All of a sudden it's a different fucking restaurant. It's like the Lenny's and Denny's. There's so many different things that can happen with that. You know what I'm saying? And I like, and as we grow and as we perceive, what I'm saying, I always feel like we switch conscious. They always talk about reincarnation. Well, what if the reincarnation is just a continuance of your consciousness? Because you're not being reincarnated, but as you phase through the different portions of life, your life just keeps getting extended because you're going to a next version of you. You know what I'm saying? You're just having the forethoughts of like, I'm here, I'm born. Oh, something happened. But because the timelines are supposed to be in sync. You know what I'm saying? Everything's supposed to be happening all at the same fucking time. There's supposed to be no overlays. And so as you're born and you're going, well, you die here, then boom, you hop here, you hop into these different ones. You know what I'm saying? And there's supposed to be infinite amount of dimensions, because that's how the string theory works. Because like I said, it's all tied into like each other. You know what I'm saying? But it's a thin wall between them, and your consciousness is the only entity that can cross between them.
Then what's the entity that's able to manage all of that? There's got to be something bigger when it comes to like some type of like time travel or whatever balance theory system person that's out there checking every single dimension, making sure something's not out of place. Because if you're coming from a whole nother dimension, it's like going to a whole nother country. You're not fitting in. You're being a little bit out of place. So how does that correlate, or how many universes are there, dimensions are there? The fact that you're able to go into another dimension and then you're not able to notice that you're in something completely different.
All right, now check this out. I'm gonna say two ways. There could be other thinkings of this, but all right, if there needs to be a management system for this, then it would prove the higher power of God. But if you believe in the Big Bang Theory, everything happens for a reason and everything's managed by itself the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be chaotic. It's supposed to be completely random, but random. It's like that thing where they say, like, you put 1,000 monkeys in a fucking room and they're gonna fucking write Shakespeare. But the thing is that's exactly what it could be. It could be a thousand fucking universe, 1,000 fucking timelines, and yet it's gonna jumble itself into what it needs to be. You know what I'm saying? It's so random, it's gonna be perfect. Or there's a higher power. Someone is watching over us, a space overlord, whatever you want to fucking call them, God. It could be angels. It could be just be the aliens, and they're just fucking with us in this timeline where they're like, check it the fuck out. Oh, we die. Put them here. You know what I'm saying? But it's good. It's either a higher power or it's completely fucking random.
I think it's definitely, I don't know. There are some things that happen where it's like you start to question if this is a simulation or if this is like some type. It seems a lot like it's very, very scripted. And I'm like, I wonder what that is. If it's like maybe it's not just one or the other. Maybe it's there's multiple factors. Like maybe there's a higher being, but also maybe there's an interaction between aliens. Maybe there was a predetermined thing where at some point in our time we were going to, our two species, whatever, we're going to cross paths.
Mhm.
One way more, I guess, highly advanced than we are. And I honestly think, because when you were telling me about your triangle story, about like when you look up in the sky and there were like
Yeah.
these lights in a triangle, I start to think, I'm like, wonder if that's two dimensional. Like if that's the easiest way for them to be able to observe us without us being able to notice them, is if they were two dimensional, something that's like flat, like a piece of paper. But when you go into that two dimension, it's wide open, much like our 3D reality is. So
Yeah.
they're able to be in a spaceship that looks flat, like a piece of paper, but in their little whatever way they were able to get into the two-dimensional wall, it's all three-dimensional inside, but we see a two dimension.
Well, see, even with that two dimension, with the three dimensions that because we do live in this three-dimension world. But the thing is what if they've hit this fourth dimension to where they can pick and choose when they are what they want to be. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, you could be in a two dimension, but the thing is, the two dimension is just flat. But if they're in this fourth dimension to where, it's like, look, we're flat, but when you're in here, we're full. So it's almost like a space saving technology that they have to where, like, they can condense the outside, but it's perfectly fine on the inside, and we're just seeing it that way. But
Like a pop-up hamper.
yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, guess what? Oh yeah, and but the thing is like they have the technology and the ability, and it's like I said, if they're flying in space, they're way beyond our fucking time. So we don't even know the technology that they would even have. But the thing is that technology could literally just freeze us, take us, and move us and change us. And they can literally, like I said, this is just me speculating on everything. They can just genetically change us and alterate us, and because our brains are basically a fucking computer. So if they have a way to tap into them, they can literally just reprogram whatever they want to reprogram in our brains to have us think how we're thinking right now. We could literally just be in a simulation, having our brains progress, thinking we're having a podcast because we're having this fucking podcast. All of a sudden, we're fucking talking about aliens and about the programming and about what they're doing to us. And that, you know what I'm saying? They're just like, they're trying to fuck with us.
Now, when you wake up and let's say you have probably a day in your life where you wake up and you have these thoughts more than you normally do you think that's a way of them trying to send a message, rather like, because I feel like to be able to prove all these types of things besides making a giant appearance to the world, you'd have to do it in such a way where we wouldn't react over dramatically like we probably would if they just showed themselves, which is by making a person, like, you ever see the show The Orville? To
No.
save that, well, it's Seth MacFarlane's like Star Trek show basically, but
Yeah.
to change the person's mind, they picked the one person up in a spaceship, showed them the whole galaxy, that they live on this fucking like simulation dome on this like back of the spaceship. They're not actually on a planet. And then she was like, well, how do I get all the others without taking pictures? And then it was like this one by one, you'd have to take every single person up and then show them everything and be able to calm them down, talk with them rationally without somebody freaking out. And I'm like, this is why you got people out on the fucking street saying the end is near or all that type of
Oh
stuff, is
yeah.
because everything is seeming so much like, if you literally read the Bible, so many people say this is exactly what the Bible said. A lot of it's like, okay, I don't know what this is. But then if you start reading it, it's like, yeah, a lot of this is like, are we willing that into happening with just all our actions? Like, someone, how many times do you read something? And then, like, I remember in, I think middle school, I was watching a documentary on Amelia Earhart, and they were showing how, like, when she was going into the Bermuda Triangle, there was this electrical cloud field that went around her
Yeah.
airplane, and then everything got distorted. She couldn't tell where up or down was.
Yeah.
And I remember the next day in class, without even like knowing, I was like, yeah, I just saw a TV thing about this last night. And I started saying all the stuff I knew about Amelia Earhart. And they're like, yeah, Robbie, we watched that yesterday in school. And I was like, oh, like our memories, like you can get that's why I had to ask you about the Bigfoot thing, because the longer it gets away from the actual point of when it happened, you start looking and being able to rationalize, oh, maybe it was this or maybe it was that.
Yeah.
And then it starts affecting your memory. So it's very, very hard unless we can be able to pull out that scene exactly or have videotapes. Same thing with trials, for instance, when they have all this footage and all this type of stuff that happens, you're like, oh, I didn't remember I did that. Now you're able to, because you're not affecting the memory, you're not corroding it. Like how many,
Yep.
like programming, all this stuff that goes into our heads, it makes you fucking think, man, where it's like, are we willing so much to happen into the universe? You know, a lot of people are so pro technology and so pro space travel that, yeah, they're going to be like, all right, well, they're willing us to go do it, so they're funding us. You know, if you give
Yep.
somebody $850 million, apparently it doesn't go to mental health, sadly.
You know what I'm saying? At all goes that brand new Ferrari.
That
Uh,
pisses me off so bad.
yeah, that's fucking like I haven't even seen that yet. Usually, I'm constantly on social media, but I'm just networking and trying to build my brand. But the thing is, I'm always reading these articles, and that's one of the things I always love doing. As soon as I see something really good or extremely crazy, that's like, this is so unbelievable, I'll send it to you.
Just it boggles my mind, because I wonder if you start, like, for instance, if you these what do you call it, streamers, these people that are like vlogging and doing all these things that are getting millions and millions of subscribers. Yeah, they're putting in the work and effort for it, but how in the fact is it, are you able to will that into existence? Like, some people just seem like, how the hell do you have $90 billion and I've never heard of you? Like, there are people out there that probably have billions upon billions of dollars and we've never even heard their name, but in someone else's world, it's like, oh, how do you not know who this person is? I'm like, I've never fucking heard of this guy. I didn't even, he owns what?
Let me tell you right now, and just as this is just through my dealings in social media. Like I said, I'm not I'm very small on the spectrum of any of this. But the thing is I'm on the outside looking in, kind of with my foot in the door. But it what it is relatability. Because what it is a lot of these people that stream, a lot of people that do these things, they're so relatable when it comes to these small communities, because that's why they have these small communities. Like just like you said, how can you not know this person, and you're not in their world, so you don't know. But the thing is because like when they watch him, he talks just like me, he acts just like me, he's saying all these crazy kooky things that I do, but it only resonates with a certain amount of people. You know what I'm saying? And none of them are mainstream, they're only their stream. And trying to tap into that is like the hardest thing in the world, because like I said, it literally just takes one video, takes one mention, it takes one thing that clicks it off, and each one of them had to hit that one thing, and all they did was just work, work, work. Like the best thing that I've seen, and the one thing that they all have in common to say is just create your content. Just create your content and keep pushing, because all it's going to be is the more content you make, that more that one thing will happen, and then you'll take off. But it's constantly just creating. It's why I post so much. It's why I create so much. It's why I podcast as much as I do. I'm not trying to become famous, but the thing is I love the creating of the content. I love crafting these things, because like I said, sometimes it flows off so smoothly and so good, and sometimes it doesn't. But the thing is sometimes that it doesn't, because you failed at it, or it's not as polished and pretty. People accept it because they're like, yeah, that's something I would make. You know what I mean?
think the hardest thing is that a lot of people don't have the patience to let something grow on its own. They want, like, I know the worst thing I think a lot of people end up figuring out is trying to get a famous person on your podcast and
Yeah.
then thinking that since they'll share it, you'll get all these followers. And I'm like, that's
No,
not how it works.
that's
That's
not at all.
yeah,
Yeah.
you get maybe 1, 2, but then they end up unfollowing you later.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be able, like, it's got to be good content, or
Yeah.
it's got to be just your own style of things too. And it's weird because, like, would you I mean, this happened to me when I was first starting out. Was
Mm,
like, I denied doing a radio position because I wanted to just do my own show.
yeah.
Mostly my parents own radio stations.
Yeah.
So my dad was like, instead of doing a podcast, why don't you just start your own segment? Like, why don't I just give you a radio segment, you get paid and all this stuff. I'm like, no, because it's not going to be me. It's going to be what you
Yeah.
guys want me to just give an ad. You guys want me to do this. You want me to do that. I'm
Yeah.
like, if
I
I'm
can't
not,
talk the way I want to talk.
yeah, if I can't do a structured thing, you're gonna have segments for me to be able to roll into. And it was something from learning him doing radio and stuff like that. I'm like, why don't you like, because immediately I wanted to do a position where I get paid and then do my
Yeah.
podcast on the side, but then it starts hitting this thing like, you know, I was like, "How did you get so good?" He's like, "I've been doing it 40 something years." And I'm like, "Well, how did you get to that point?" And everyone I've ever talked to that's known him has been like, "'Cause he plays what people want to hear." He goes, "Yeah, they give me a bunch of stuff to play, but I just play what I feel like should be played, and then people enjoy it." Because how many things do you listen to or watch now where it's like they're pushing a certain agenda rather than pushing it out there for the people? Like, they might
Yep.
go under the guise of this is what we actually care about the people. But then I'm like, well, where's the money that's being funded into this actually going? It's not going back to the people. It's the same kind
Mm.
of, I thought taxes were important because they paid for our fire departments. Then I found
Yeah.
out from Adam Nutter. He
Yeah.
told me the other day, he's got
Yeah.
his episode. He was
Yeah.
telling me that like taxes are bullshit
Yep.
because most of those fire departments are volunteer. And I'm like, oh my God, it makes you start thinking, like, what about our roads? And he's like, who gets the roads done? Who gets the roads done? Yeah, are your roads fixed? Because you pay taxes, right? And I'm like, well, Domino's. And he goes, yeah, they rely on the companies
Yep.
that do it for their own promotion. He goes,
Yeah.
they're not doing it because of your taxes. And I'm like, oh my God, you start looking through everything. It's like, wait, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. What's this? And it's like, you've been distracted for so long with all these ideas of interdimensional space and all these things that you start realizing everything around you that you think is true or you think is going on is not happening at all. And you're like, wait, we're still exactly where we were before, but now I'm out this much money.
You know what I'm saying? And that's one of those things. It's like that's why unless it's with my wife, I will never speak politics. I will never talk about anything political because the simple fact is I'm very open to people's ideas and thoughts, but people aren't open to those ideas and thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Like my opinion is going to be wrong, so I don't want to fucking hear you. So I'm like, well, then why am I going to even have a conversation with somebody that's not going to even try to fucking hear me or talk about taxes, talk about the police department, talk about laws, talk about what the fuck is going on? Because the narrative is whatever the social media narrative is, and that's what everybody fucking goes on. I was like, I have my own thoughts, I have my own feelings and processes. And my wife has her own, and we have arguments, we have thoughts, we have conversations about things, and sometimes those conversations get loud. But at the end of the day, we know that well, that's how you feel, that's how I feel, and it's all fucking good. But that's a conversation I love to have. You know what I'm saying? She has understanding that this is where I stand. I have understanding where she stands. She'll prove her point, I'll prove my point, and then we move on. But nobody else is willing to do that. You know what I'm saying?
It's very hard to ask somebody or give someone advice without it coming down from a higher a place, I would say.
Yeah.
Even if you're been doing it 4 years and someone else been doing it for a month, it's still going to be taken as like, well, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
It's just, man, and back to that radio thing, the idea that if someone could give you $1 million to do a radio segment for 5 years, or you could have the chance to start off with $0, but build up your process over that 5 years and actually make a name for yourself. I think that's what Jim Brewer talked about when he was contesting Saturday Night Live or all these like skit shows that he was on. He
Yeah.
was like, I'm not like during the lockdown, where did all that work go? Where did all that
Yeah.
process go? No, people that didn't have podcasts, people that didn't have something that they were creating a business or something,
Yeah.
they weren't leaving anything for a name for themselves. They were relying on, yeah, you could do Fallon and make $1,000 and that's a night or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that better than building up this long business that eventually maybe towards it's going to take time because things take time.
Yeah.
It's just that idea of instant gratification that people want, because I think life is so hard right now. You want to do anything to really make it better. And
Yeah.
everything that happens to make it better is stuff or money rather than good laughs or good chats, because the world's always tossing a bill payment at your face.
Yeah, 100%. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, I have my job, but I love podcasting. I love doing this content creating, and I'd like it to be something one day. I'm trying to make, something out of nothing. But the thing is I enjoy it. I enjoy doing this. I have pleasure doing this. So whether I get paid or not, or whether this breaks out and becomes something cool, but it's still, I enjoy this. I love doing this. And just like how you said, building a brand, that's what I've been trying to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm trying to build something, a ground based level, to where it's like my merchandise, my content, my website, my YouTube, building all this around me and just stacking it up to one day be something. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is at the end of the day, it's still mine. I created it, and it's something that I'm proud of. But it's, if you're not building your brand or building something that, like, everyone has a grand scheme of working for themselves, and this was, if it works for myself, great. But if not, I have a job that I love doing because it gives me the freedom to still do this. You know what I'm saying?
I start to wonder when it comes to the fact, I think everybody's mentality is that they want to be like a Walt Disney or someone that's going to be creating so much stuff where it's like you see it everywhere. And I'm just looking
Yeah.
at it like, man, you don't leave any room for conspiracy talk when you wonder if the government just like, hey, I'm picked you up in a van and was like, I'm going to make you famous and you're going to be in the eyes of everything because we control everything. And then next thing you know, everything's Disneyland, everything's all this stuff. But I'm
Yeah.
like, I rather, because I was watching, I think Logan Paul's podcast, and I was
Which
like,
he's about to get his ass whooped today. Or that's Jake Paul, never mind.
I was about to say, yeah, because I was watching him and he was talking to like all these famous people, which are known to spark a little bit of controversy and it's going to get views and stuff like that. But he
Yeah.
starts talking about the view count and stuff. He goes, I know if I get a guest like you, the views are going to go up explicitly because people want to see you fall. And I'm like, how do you want to build your content? Because you can see a lot of people out here building content just trying to spark anger or spark something
Yeah.
wrong with people. I'm like, when I do these, I do these for myself mostly because I like meeting and talking and understanding like people's thoughts and things like that. That's why I get a little bit upset if someone like dislikes a certain guest that I have on or something. Like, how could you believe this person that talks to ghosts, or how could you
Yeah.
believe this or that? I'm like, why the fuck are you so confined to your idea that they're wrong? Why don't you just listen to their thoughts and understand maybe how they got there, or maybe how they think of this type of thing? So many people are gonna be like, why do you have a Bigfoot person on? Why the fuck not? He has an
Yeah.
experience. Do you have one? Like, what the fuck is that? And it's just so weird because everything I see on TV is already pretty fake and scripted. Usually that's how the show goes. But
Yeah.
then you go into the world and there's not much of a different news thing either. You look
No.
at regular reality show or cable that's meant to get views and crazy drama acts like Twilight. You look at the news, it's the same shit. I watched on ABC yesterday or a couple days ago. They had Joe Biden talking about how he was giving, oh fuck, $800 billion or something like that to India for COVID relief. And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, fucking yeah, we're definitely okay over here. That's right.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And I was watching it and they had the senator for Japan that was on there that was friends with him. And when he started speaking, for the first minute, his mic wasn't working. There was no
Yeah.
words coming out. The dude was talking, but it was just wasn't. I was like,
Yeah.
if anybody from Japan's watching this, they're going to be pissed off like we're
Yeah.
making fun of them.
Yeah.
And then he started speaking in Japanese, and then they had a translator that was speaking on a separate mic off camera that you could hear that she was translating everything.
Yeah.
But she would pause on certain words. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like something that fits in that sentence, where I'm like, is he slowly saying how he's going to take over and America sucks? And like, we're all just nodding our heads like, yeah, I
Yeah.
understood what you fucking say. Like if you watch the movie Waterboy and the
Yeah.
dude's like, yeah, but and it starts speaking like that, everyone's like, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Like you
Yeah.
don't really understand what's being said. Like they could be declaring an act of war.
And we don't even know.
Fucking, it has me just, I don't like if, yeah, okay, get famous people on your show
Yeah.
and it gets you attention. But are you now building a show based on the people that you get rather than them listening to you?
Exactly. Exactly. And so that's the thing too, is like it like Angry Dad Podcast is me doing exactly what I've always done. And that's give my life advice to those who are looking for it. Those who are like in a position where like, what do I do?
I
And
need life
growing up,
advice.
yeah, I'm telling you, and that's what I like to do. Is like I've literally been there, done that. I've gone through divorces, I've gone through legal problems, I've gone through all the kind of work bullshit, anything that you want to do, or something. Sometimes it's getting life started and not knowing how to do it, in which I've been in that rut. I've had that spark of like, oh shit, that's all it fucking takes, or fucking like, yes. And so if I just point people in that direction, you know what I'm saying? And I love doing it. I feel fucking great doing it. And that's what I've built my brand on is like, and plus I like to yell, I like to cuss, I like to fucking talk shit about people. And that's what I do too. But, as a dad, what I'm saying? It's like I'm sharing the same things I share with my kids to the world. And I feel like sometimes people need it. You know what I'm saying? I get a lot of messages like, thank you, or you got me to start, or I'm losing weight, or I'm changing my life, or I finally getting shit done. And those are the messages I like to receive because I'm just like, I'm really doing something.
I really would study witchcraft if there was a spell in that book where it would illuminate a path that would tell me this is what you need. Like if you see Rick and Morty, he has the future crystal in his
Yeah.
pocket and he's like sensing it out. I would love to have something like that to show me where the hell am I supposed to go, because I know people like the surprise of like, hey, hopefully it comes my way. I like that idea of things, but I think it's taken way too damn long and you don't know how many shots you're missing when you're sitting at home.
Exactly. Now I'm gonna give you a funny story. Um, I was living in Washington at this time, and so I'm in Bremerton. So this is like across the Puget Sound from Seattle. I'm out there. I'm living with my grandma, and I used to take the bus everywhere. So I'd always go to the mall, and so I had saved up like a little bit of money. I went down to the bookstore, and I can't remember what I watched or what I was thinking, but I went down there and asked the lady, "Where's the magic books at?" and she pointed me in the direction because I am in Washington, so it's very very hippy dippy like that. And so I go there and I'm going through all the books, and the only book I could afford was this one called New Age Magic. And it had it had like the chakras, it had like the typical Buddha, not Buddha, but I can't remember the Indian lady's name where it had all the arms, or and like it is just, it was literally this picture, and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And I'm probably 14 at this time, maybe 13, and I purchased this book and I go home and I'm reading it and I'm reading it and I'm reading it. I'm like, there is nothing about magic in this book. It was self enlightenment.
But isn't that a form of magic though?
At that moment in time, that's not what I wanted.
I want to
you know,
cast spells and shit too, but
you know what I'm saying? But that's the thing, dude. So, like I said, I read the book from front to back, thinking I was gonna figure something out or pick something out of that. And there was no. I All I did was read a book about self enlightenment, and I was, I was slightly disappointed.
would you want the ability to be enlightened and be happy, or would you want the power of being able to control things around you?
And see, here's the thing. I'm at that point in my life where I'm enlightened and happy, and I have the powers to control everything around me.
See, here's the thing though. Another thing on top of your thing. If you're enlightened, everything inside of you is okay. But if everything around you is okay, does that mean there's a plus and a minus to all that? The plus is the fact that inside of your head there's no pain. Everything around you eventually will become like this distorted. Like you could be like, if you're on drugs, everything around them is distorted. Like, oh, I'm in
Mhm.
fucking rainbow land when really they're on fire somewhere. Your mind starts thinking clearer and starts being healthier, then everything around you seems better than what you're looking at when your mind is unhealthy. But then if everything around you is positive, yeah, you can do so many things with that. But then your insides are a little bit corrupt. Like I bet, like let's take Donald Trump, for instance. I'm not a fan of his, but I don't think he's necessarily the devil like everyone says.
Yeah.
Um, he's got a lot of money, but I bet you that man is severely unhappy. And I
Oh yeah.
just look at that and I'm like, does that increase with the more things that you have and the more things that you can have? I start to wonder when you look at these minimalists or these types of people that go on bare to nothing and they don't really have a care in the world. And I'm like, I guess the more things you have, the more problems that increase. and you start to wonder, is trying to find a form of enlightenment. Maybe that's how the monks do it, for spending 70 years on top of a mountaintop with no money, wearing nothing but a robe and just praying to God all day, or praying to a higher being all day, because trying to find that enlightenment changes your perception on the world when you have to really focus on the healthy inside compared to what's healthy on the outside.
And see, that's the thing too, is like the enlightenment, like even from like just recalling from that book, it's not knowing it's a thought and feeling of happiness. And see, that's the thing, is like I've gone through so much turmoil through divorces, with my fighting for my kids and stuff like that. And at this moment in time, I literally have a beautiful wife, my kids, a beautiful home. And like this is just like we're not trying to live lavish. We're not trying to do all these crazy things. All we're trying to do is just be. But the thing is my happiness around me makes me feel like I can see everything. And so because I see the world's problems, I see the work problems, I see the struggle of everything on the outside of the house. But the thing is within my walls, within myself, I'm not just happy and not just content, but I am living in my moments now, to where nothing bothers me. Nothing, of course, there's going to be things here and there that upset me. But the thing is I'm no longer confined to the past, no longer confined to the future. I'm only right here, right now, every single moment. I live that moment step to step to step. And if someone's going to get in my face, who the fuck are you? You know what I'm saying? If someone's going to talk something to me, I don't care. If someone wants to get mad at me or upset at me or try to project their anger on me, I push it completely out of the way, because I don't care or need it, or nothing can disturb my happiness. And my happiness is, like I said, it's my family, it's within these walls, and controlling that and controlling the things around me. It's like I can control how much interaction I have with somebody. So if this person's giving me the negativity, who the fuck are you to give me negativity? Get
Well,
the fuck out of my face.
that comes from being, see, because here's a weird thing, is that you can control only what you can control. And that
Yeah,
can be your family. Being a father, you can control your family, such as like, we need to do these, we're going to move to a better place.
yeah.
But then the world tells you there's things out there that needs to change, and you feel like your control can go out to those things, but it doesn't reach those things. Your
But
control ends up finding a person that has nothing going on with them, and deciding that they need to wear a mask, or deciding they need to do this with their life, or deciding that they're an issue and they need to change their attitude. And it goes to, what about the homeless people? And you realize those people don't even want to change. That's the biggest thing, is that they funded a whole entire thing to help get the homeless people, help them out in San Francisco. And none of them wanted it. None of them wanted to accept it. And I say, like, because they don't think they need change. Everything is telling them that they need to change, when in reality, they seem a lot fucking happier than most of the people living in these four-bedroom homes or something like that.
well, see, that's the thing. It's like with that, with talking about San Francisco, is San Francisco and LA are they were literally shipping us homeless people. You know what I'm saying? Other states would be like, oh, here's a ticket. Where you want to go? Oh, going to San Francisco? Here you go. And the thing is that a lot of these people are mentally ill, have psychological issues, have physical issues, and the thing is they don't want to do anything with it, and they don't want to get help. They don't want, and the reason they don't want to get these helps and stuff like that is because it puts them in a cycle, in a chain, to where they have to deal with stress, and so they don't want to deal with that stress. They don't want to deal with the people's bullshit, because guess what? As soon as you make a certain amount of money, or you receive a certain amount of money, now you're liable for this, and now you're liable for that, and it comes down to taxes. It comes down to, you owe this, or you make too much to receive this, or because here in California, especially in the San Francisco Bay Area, you make a certain amount, all programs are completely cut off, and that certain amount does not cover what the fuck it costs to live here. All right, fucking renting, it's almost like $4,000 a month to rent a house just like I have. All right. The housing market is fucking ridiculous. And so if you make, and I want to say it's like $30,000 a year.
That's
If
my
you,
next Hold on. That's my next prediction, is the housing market's going to crash. And I have so
oh
many
yeah,
people
yeah.
saying, but they're saying it's hotter than ever. I'm like, that's what you tell people before it fucking crashes.
All right. Now we're going to go into this. Me and my wife, as soon as the pandemic hit, we already knew it was going to happen because what it is the market was crazy. The market is completely overblown. People are buying like houses like 3 times the price, and they're just like, I seen a house, a condemned, burnt up house, go for like $2 million, and it's not even as big as mine. All right. And it's in prime area. It's in Silicon Valley area, but it was just a fucking burnt
What
down,
does that even
condemned
mean?
house.
It's
Yeah,
like you say
it's
the word Silicon Valley. It's like putting Supreme on a fire extinguisher. It
yeah,
goes
but
up by like $1,000.
well, see, the Silicon Valley, all the technology came out of the Bay Area. Apple's here, Google's here, fucking Yahoo. All these places are based in Santa Clara. Santa Clara and all the way up to Fremont is Silicon Valley. Facebook is just on the other side of where my house used to be. It's on literally on the other side of the bridge. Silicon Valley is where all technology was based for a good portion of time before a little things started moving out. That's what Silicon Valley is. Silicon Valley is where computers were built, technology was built, everything was created within this area. You know what I'm saying? And we knew it then. You know what I'm saying? But even then, it wasn't that expensive. But the thing is, as soon as they started trying to hire people, those people started moving here. And as soon as they started moving here, guess what the fuck happened? They started buying up all the houses because they don't want to commute, they don't want to travel. And then boom, first housing market completely crashed. And then that was the opportunity. But the thing is, it's starting to happen now. People are moving, people are changing, everything's going, and all of a sudden, 0% loans. Zero fucking percent loans. You literally can buy a house with no percentage if you qualify for it. And the thing is when that happens, the bubble starts happening. All of a sudden, like, well, the banks are not making money, and all of a sudden, the pandemic shut people down. There are so many things right now that are happening, and one of the biggest things happening right now is, I don't know if you've been following the price of lumber. Have you been following the price of lumber?
I don't
All
build
right.
sheds.
Now let me tell you something right now. The standard piece of lumber that they sell, that literally they bolt to the wall to fucking to build these houses, to build these outsides, it was gone, and they're like a big sheet of wood. All right, the same
I
thing as a
saw your
farm.
little picture on Instagram. I like that one where the dude, you said the price of lumber in 1970 or something like that. And it was a dude with his whole back of his truck stacked. And then it's like price
Yeah.
of lumber now. And it's like 4 pieces and it's like the same price.
All right, now check this out. That one sheet of wood right now, it went from 15. That shit is almost $100 right now for one.
That's the same shit that happened with all the vegetables in our grocery store. The cabbage went from 49 cents to now $1.29. The lettuce went from like I think it was $1 to now 179. Kale
Yeah.
went up like $2, and then like it's like what do
Well,
you,
see, that right there is explainable because we just had Texas just had a frost. Fucking the Midwest, or not
this was months before that though.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. It's like there was a flood, there was a tornado, there was a lot of things that caused that part to happen.
It happened
But
when the stimulus checks went out.
right after, but like and like with the price of, I got lost track, but with the price of wood right now, lumber companies and people that work for the lumber companies are coming out right now like, look, we've never worked so much in our life right now. There's no, because they're trying to say the wood price is being a shortage, and they're trying to say it's a shortage, and so that's what the price of lumber is going up. But the thing is all these lumber companies and employees are coming out, and they're specifically saying like, no, there's no shortage, we're cutting down trees like there ain't no to fucking tomorrow, and we have not stopped working. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
it's weird. They say that like we were tearing down so much of the environment that we're losing a lot of it, even though there's more than we've had in a long time. And it's like you start wondering what that is, and it's like, oh well, because back in the day they used to have huge, giant, thick trees to cut down.
yeah,
Now we have these small, skimpy ones because we let them grow to a certain time and then we cut them down. We do have a lot
exactly.
more, but they're
Yeah.
just not as big and thick.
Yep.
It's
But I'll tell
fucking,
you right now though,
it's
it's
all a
fucking,
scam.
it is a scam, bro. It is a fucking scam. But the thing is everybody's right now waiting for this housing market to crash because people like a house on the corner of my of where I live, it had a sign that said coming to market soon. Put it, and then as soon as they took the coming to market soon part off, it sold.
You want to know what my biggest feeling is right now?
What was that?
That all these people that are trying to expose all this crazy stuff and trying to change the government the way it's been running, I'm in fear that we've been running this long or this type of way for so long that if we do change, everything is going to be ruined. Like we've now like it's like eventually, like, oh, you have a couple days where you get to sit at home and drink. But if you spend like 40 years drinking and then you try and just cut it all out, your body's going to have this negative effect to it. And I'm
Oh
like, I
yeah, it'll
feel
shut
like
down.
we've been, because I mean, throughout the 70s, 80s, and 90s, nobody's really had this much exposure on trying to change the government before, trying
Yep.
to change the world that we're in. It's all been slow, kind of growing to have this giant change. And it's like, you sit a politician down in a room and like, what happens if we actually get rid of the homeless population? What happens if we actually end the starvation thing? What happens if we stop funding all these other extra lobbyists and stuff like that? What's going to happen? He's like, world war.
Yeah.
Everything's going to happen. We're going to end up losing. And now everyone's talking about China doing a world war, trying to win it. But I'm
They've
like,
been talking about that forever.
at this point, it's not even a war. It's just a Cold War where they're like, yo, you owe us so much money. Let us build a
Yeah.
factory in Alaska. Let us have Alaska. Now we're at
Yep.
49 states. And then it goes to 48, 47, 46 until we're at the last 13 states and everything else is owned by this because you already owe us so much.
That's it. But that's exactly what it's coming down to. It it's just so fucking crazy because like you know just I'm on just from being on social media, I see so many videos and so many things happening in real time that it's so fucking crazy because like I said, the whole police thing that's going on right now and people being called out and the access and videos of people being quickly to record everything is literally changing the playing field because people can see the corruption, they can see bad things happening. And of course, the good stuff never gets promoted, but the bad stuff is really being pushed out to the front and it's changing it because no one can lie about what's happening now. And because it is shown in the forefront of people seeing the disrespect happening to Americans and American people that it's literally to the point now where it's like, oh, guess what? You're fired. We can no longer support you. You're going to jail. We can't help you. We can't hide you. We can't do anything. We can't just transfer you now. People know your face. People remember this shit. It's just so fucking crazy because I'm seeing it in real fucking time that people are really in power, are being held accountable. It is so insane to see. I was watching a video of these people, and I can't remember what state it was in, but they bought property. They're building a house on their property, a container home, and because they're building this container home, the neighbors that they have, and they have acres too, so these people aren't fucking close to them. That they're building this container home, and then because the neighbors don't want them to live there, because they want to hunt the land and use the pond and use all the stuff, but these people now own it. They were fucking literally trying to use the fucking city because it's a good old town. It's a small town. It's a very tight knit community. And so they were trying to use the building commissioner to stop them from doing it. But because these people were posting about it and talking about it, they couldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? They were like, nope, here's your permits. We're sorry, this and this and this. But for a good moment in time, they were being halted from building their own property that they purchased. And I'm like, and being held accountable to that because now all of a sudden now, like, guess what? We're sending all this proof and all this information to your boss of the county. Like I said, you're not the boss. You just run this section of the building commission. So now we're going to let the building commissioner see what you said to us because we recorded it. And it's so fucking crazy. That's really fucking happening now. And it's fucking like changing people's lives, changing people's things, calling the bullshit out. It's so fucking insane to me that I'm like, you can really see it.
Money is power. And it's funny. The same example I could use is back in the day, they used to come to your neighborhood and, knock on your door and say, hey, and they would do this thing called blockbusting where they would tell you a certain ethnicity of people were moving into your neighborhood. You better sell your house now because your property value is going to go down. And it was all
Yep.
a way of being able to turn it around and make a bigger profit on it all.
Yep.
It's fucking nuts, man, how money is power and that gets people farther. I would consider compassion or just people that are out there, literally genuine human beings, not wanting all this giant, like masses amounts of wealth, but just enough to be able to survive are probably going to help out their community more
Yeah,
than
be
a bunch of
comfortable.
people. Yeah.
And that's what communities are supposed to do. It's like, look, we all contribute to make our neighborhood a good fucking neighborhood. And that's what communities used to do. We all contribute to the church. We all contribute to the community center. We all contribute to whatever it is that we congregate with. And back in the day, they used to have fucking, community barbecues, a fucking night out on the town. Everyone come out their house, set up your stuff, and we're going to have a good fucking time. But now that's, not, and that since the 90s, it's been or probably late 90s, that's never been a thing anymore.
Uh, what what's gonna happen, Ben? What's gonna happen?
I have no fucking idea. All I know is, I will protect myself, and I will fucking do it to the fullest here for myself. You know what I'm saying? And it's because, like I said, it's just like you said, the shit's getting ready to pop off. Shit, the market's gonna pop, and the fucking corona zombie apocalypse is around the corner. And it's like, what do we do? You know what I'm saying? Like I said, and I'm spitting out worst case scenario that shit crumbles. And it's like, do you prepare for that, or do you just prepare to let the bullshit happen?
It's very, very hard to ask someone if they're willing to stand aside and let the world burn. But
Exactly.
if you change that way of saying that to when you stand aside and watch the world burn, it's going to grow back better than ever.
Sometimes the world's got to get scorched, just like how they do the forest. But the thing is you can't control what gets burned, and that's what sucks. That's why that's why you intercede, because it's like, I like a lot of things, but I don't want a lot of things to get fucking hurt or touched or changed. I just want the bad gone, but we can't control that. You know what I'm saying? Because when it burns, everything burns.
Well, it's funny, to take down evil, you need a bigger evil.
Very true. And the thing is the biggest evil is getting fucking pushed to the front line right now with because of the internet. Everything is being pushed to a head right now, and it's about to pop like a pimple.
Dr. Pimple Popper. Shameless plug. Ben, where can people find you at, man?
Well, I'm the angry motherfucking dad. You want to watch my shit? IGTV, YouTube. You want us to do it? Spreaker, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, SoundCloud, Deezer, iHeartRadio. This shit is everywhere. You can easily fucking find it. Rate, review, like, subscribe, all that bullshit. And guess the fuck what? You're listening to Out of the Blank.
Hot damn, selling like hotcakes.